What's up, folks? It's Dan here from BGameCharacter.com, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about timing for when you're lifting weights or doing any sort of resistance exercise for that matter. Timing is something that we discussed in depth on the blog, and I'll link in the blog post at the end of this, but we haven't discussed here on the YouTube channel. And when I'm talking about timing, I'm talking about the timing of your lifts, i.e. the speed at which you do each portion of a lift. Now, for any given strength exercise, there's a couple of different sections that you go through, a couple of different stages. All right? The first off, and the most important one that we're going to talk about today, is usually the eccentric one, which is going to be, for instance, on a bicep curl, which is what we're going to demonstrate with here. The eccentric is when you are releasing the weight and lowering it down. That's your eccentric motion. It's the loading up motion of the weight. If you're doing a squat, it's when you're squatting down, okay? If you're doing a pull-up, which is one of the only exercises where you're not doing the eccentric as your first motion, it's when you're lowering yourself back down after doing your pull-up. Next up is the isometric, which is where you're sitting here at the end of whatever the eccentric contraction is. All right, in a squat, it's when you squat down low to the ground. With a bicep curl, it's when your hand is just hanging here. All right, and then finally is the concentric motion, which is what we consider to be the lift. All right, so again, eccentric is lowering down or loading the weight up. Isometric is when you're holding it, and then concentric is when you're raising it back up again. Now, a lot of people focus, especially when they're just starting out, entirely on the concentric motion, i.e. the point at which you're moving the weight. If you're doing a push-up, it's when you're pushing yourself up off the ground. If you're doing a squat, it's when you're standing up again. If you're doing a bicep curl, it's when you're curling the weight. However, neglecting the other two is usually a bad thing, especially the eccentric motion, and I will tell you why. When you are performing an exercise, during the eccentric motion, usually you're actually exerting more force with your muscles than on the concentric motion, because you are fighting against gravity and attempting to slow a weight down, typically either your own body weight or the weight of the barbell on your back or the dumbbell in your hand. This is important because part of efficient muscle growth is the eccentric portion. Some might argue, in fact, that your muscle fibers work harder during the eccentric portion than the concentric portion, depending on how heavy a weight you're doing, obviously. But bottom line is, you need to think about timing, and that is the time in which you go through each phase. Now, I'm going to talk primarily about two different timings here for two different goals, okay? The first is strength timing, okay? If you are lifting for strength, any kind of strength, explosive strength, plyometric style strength, or just general move that weight strength, i.e. doing a deadlift up off the floor no matter how slow it is, you generally want to try and stick to a 2-1-2 timing. That is, whatever you lower the weight at, you want to count it out for a count of 2. So I would do 1, 2, and then 1 at the bottom for the isometric portion, which would be a pause for most exercises, and then another 2 or even 1 to get it back up again, okay? So you go 1, 2, 1, and then 1, or 1, 2, and then 1, or 1, 2, all right? So, again, it's a 2, 1, 2, or 2, 1, 1 for more power, okay? If, however, you are going for bodybuilding, i.e. hypertrophy, you want to get your muscles as big as possible, you're trying to put on mass, you instead want to go for a 4-1-1 count, all right? Which means that you're doubling the amount of time you spend in the eccentric portion. So you want to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and really feel that muscle extend. Hold for a count of 1 down here on the bottom, and then pick it back up with 1. Again, slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 1. Okay? One more time. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 1. The idea here is that you want to give your muscles more time under tension, which is very important for hypertrophy training. All right, and it's why bodybuilders typically will not go as heavy as they possibly can on their exercises. They're more interested in flooding the area with blood in their muscles, and they're interested in stimulating those muscle fibers to contract more completely and more wholly, even if it's slower than they typically would. You can't do a 4-1-1 count with something close to your max weight. You want to do it with something that you can do and be gassed at the end of your sets, but still be able to do your full set and rep, program that you're laying out for your hypertrophy plan there. So again, the two tempos, as I spoke before, 2-1-2 or 2-1-1 for strength and power development. For bodybuilding, you want to go 4-1-1. 4 counts on the eccentric, 1 count on the isometric, and then 1 count on the concentric motion. Okay? I hope this makes sense to you. If it doesn't, I'm linking the blog post at the end of this video. You can also ask any questions you have in the comment below. But definitely something to consider in the future as you're lifting. Think about your goals and think about the tempo at which you're lifting and see if you can adjust it to better accomplish your goals. Thanks for watching. As always, remember to live boldly, change the world, and continue to be awesome. Bye-bye.
Listen!